Welcome, viewers, to another fabulous episode of Unapologetically Free. Now, if you want to hear my story of how edging nearly messed up my streak, stay to the end of the video. Now, first off, aging starts when you start releasing dopamine for the drug of your demise. So, what I mean is this: when it comes to NoFap, any porn related dopamine or any pixel sourced sexual stimulation is bad for you. It isn't when you touch your dick that edging starts. It is when you choose to pick maybe at a Instagram picture, at a TikTok video, when you peek at a artificially stimulated version of the real deal, that is when aging starts, because you are essentially releasing high amounts of dopamine without any actual use. Now, some people would of course think and ask, is it okay to peek if it is not considered pornography? Now, let's think about what the culprit is. Ultimately, the culprit that is messing up your brain is artificial stimulation. It is artificial stimulation that is messing up your brain. Now, this includes Instagram, TikTok, pornography, watching hentai. They are all the same because what is natural is what this act of ejaculation was created to be for. And when you engage in a substitute action, such as jerking off to pixels or even just watching pixels on a screen, you are unable to bring anything to its logical conclusion. So if you do NoFap or semen retention and you edge, you might as well not do it, because it keeps releasing dopamine that triggers your addiction pathways. It will keep you addicted. And what this means is that your brain is still messed up. Now, a lot of people, when they are really serious about NoFap or semen retention, and they are really strict about it, they will enter what we call a flatline. Now, in my own experience, during the flatline, it's almost like as if dopamine doesn't work on my brain anymore. I feel a lack of motivation. I feel semi-depressed sometimes even. And this is part of your brain healing, right? Your brain is moldable. They call it neuroplasticity. And that means that as long as you don't try and mess it up with artificial stimulation, your dopamine receptors will start to normalize. And what previously is considered a low dose of dopamine, perhaps listening to music, perhaps looking at the sunrise, will start to appear and sound more beautiful to you, because your once addict brain is now normalized and you're able to enjoy the little things in life. Now, I'm going to end off this video by sharing my story of how I nearly messed up. It started with mindless browsing of safe content that is not even sexually stimulating. But you see, when you put yourself in a passive state of mind instead of active and knowing what you are doing, you are slowly falling into a slippery slope. So then my brain started asking, maybe some new interesting content relating to what I used to watch came up. So what happens is with that thought, dopamine would start to flood into your brain as it did into my brain. And ultimately, dopamine is meant to stimulate you to do more of what released it. And at this point, you are many a times fighting a uphill battle because now you have to go against the biology of your body using your willpower. Now, if you are unable to say no to peaking, you're going to find it a lot harder to say no when now dopamine is actively pushing you towards the act itself. So what happened is that I peaked for hours. Now floods of dopamine probably fueled my brain. And what I cannot explain is the next day, even though I did not relapse and I did not fap, I did not even touch my junk, I felt drained. That is to say, energetically speaking, I was sapped. And then I fell into a flat line once again. Now, this one I kid you not. This simply taught me that even peaking is not worth it. I was in such a joyful place before I decided to peak. I had a clean streak of 100 over days, and because of one peak, I fell back into a flat line, and I felt that state of semi-depressed state again. So peaking does come with its side effects. Now, for people who think that this is too extreme, once again, see, I was fortunate that with the willpower that I gained through life and through over 100 days of not doing the deed, I was able to ultimately cut it off and say no, it is not worth it and I can't handle it. However, what this is like for those people who try to rationalize saying that it's okay once in a while, this is like saying it's okay for an alcoholic to gargle alcohol and not swallow it. Or it is okay if you are a smoker that wants to quit to light up a joint, put it in your mouth, and just to enjoy the cigarette being there without taking a puff. Now, addiction doesn't work that way. The moment you start with step A, you will fall into step B, step C, and step D. And even if I have not been telling you this, even if I do not tell you this, based on your own experience, your own experiences with relapsing, you would come to the final conclusion that it is not even worth it to take that first step into your addiction. You know, in the Bible, it is written, let your yes be yes and your no be no. Everything else comes from the evil one. In my belief, a clear-cut decision should be made on various matters in people's life, and in pornography or in NoFap or in semen retention, let your yes be yes and your no be no. You're either all in on pornography, you think it is good, or all out. Don't try to balance such a vice. Now, I hope you liked today's video. If you did, like it, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you again.